climate change affecting our world? I am here with marine biologist Mariana Fuentes. Ms. Fuentes, please tell us how climate change is affecting marine ecosystems.
Well, climate change is affecting ocean temperatures, the supply of nutrients, ocean chemistry, food chains, wind systems, ocean currents, and extreme events such as cyclones. As the climate warms, marine plants and animals are shifting towards the poles, changing marine food webs and impacting the plants and animals, including humans, that depend on them.
So tell me, what are the main effects of climate change on marine life?
Well, the first effect is coral bleaching. Coral bleaching is the whitening of corals. Temperature change is the most common cause of coral bleaching. Next would be rising sea levels. Global sea levels may rise more than 60 centimeters during the next 100 years due to the melting of glaciers and polar ice and thermal expansion of warmer water. Rising water levels will have a serious impact on marine ecosystems. Next is acidic oceans. After absorbing a large proportion of the carbon dioxide released by human activities, our ocean is becoming more and more acidic every day. The next is altered lifestyles and locations. Rising temperatures can be directly affected by the metabolism, life cycle, and behavior of marine species. For example, temperature is a cue for reproduction, so temperature changes could affect successful breeding of the animals. The last one is stormy weather. Tropical storms and heavier rainfall may increase, causing physical damage to coral reefs and other coastal ecosystems.
So, do you think you could give me more examples of organisms that have been affected by climate change?
Sure. The main marine life organisms that are being affected are polar bears, fish, especially cod, sea turtles, North Atlantic right whales, penguins, seals, lobsters, walruses, and many other species.
You mentioned that fish are being affected by this, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Does that mean the fishing industries are too?
Well, it depends. Climate change will impact the biological, economic, and social aspects of many fisheries. Fisheries will be impacted differently according to the physical changes in the regional environment. For example, southeast fisheries are most likely to be affected by the changes in water temperature, opposed to northern fisheries will be affected by a change in precipitation, and western fisheries by changes in the sea current. For our next segment, I'll be interviewing Janice Himes. Hi Janice, why are you here today?
I'm here to talk about climate change in forests. Forests play an important role in regulating the Earth's temperature and weather patterns by storing large quantities of carbon in water. This has a large effect on both local and global climate.
So exactly how is global warming affecting our world?
Well, global...
Okay, so exactly how is global warming affecting our world?
Well, global warming occurs very quickly. This means that around a third of today's forests are likely to change their species composition. A temperature increase of 3 degrees Celsius by the year 2100 would result in forest ecosystems having to move 500 kilometers towards the poles or 500 meters in elevation in order to find the same climate conditions.
Tell me what the studies have shown about boreal forests.
Studies on the global carbon cycle suggest that boreal forests are not absorbing as much carbon as they did before 1976. As a result, the atmosphere is already containing 10 to 15 billion tons of carbon more than it would have if forests continued to absorb carbon before 1976. If the boreal forests continue to decline, estimates suggest that burning and rotting of boreal forests could contribute to the release of up to 225 billion tons of extra carbon into the atmosphere, increasing current levels by a third, and that would affect the organisms living in the forests.
What about the growth and productivity of forests?
Climate changes directly and indirectly affect the growth and productivity of forests. Carbon dioxide is required for photosynthesis, the process by which green plants use sunlight to grow. Given sufficient water and nutrients, increases in atmospheric CO2 may enable trees to be more productive. Higher future CO2 levels could benefit forests with fertile soils in the northeast. However, increased CO2 may not be as effective in promoting growth in the west and southeast, where water is limited.
Can you name me some of the effects of climate change?
Sure, the first one would be temperature. Annual temperature will increase by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, with winters warming more than summer. In response to the increased temperature by the frost-free season is expected to increase by 15 to 20 days. The growing season will start to occur 7 to 10 days earlier, and the growing season will end 7 to 10 days later.
In the next one,
Moisture. Annual precipitation is projected to increase by 3 to 5%, with growing season moisture staying about the same as today.
and the last one,
That would be insect outbreaks. When these outbreaks occur, they defoliate, weaken, and kill trees. For example, pine beetles have damaged more than 1.5 million acres of forest in Colorado, and spruce beetles have damaged more than 2.5 acres in Alaska.
how is climate change affecting the lives of organisms living in forests?
Climate change is altering the pattern of life on the planet, causing widespread species extinction, migration, and behavior changes. A changing climate forces plants and animals to migrate in order to survive. Female caribou migrate in spring to small pockets of vegetation where they feed and raise their calves. But for the past decade, spring has come so early that by the time the caribou reach the coastal plain, their principal food and plant has already gone to seed. 43% of 193 known plant species could become non-viable by the year 2095 due to the fact that changes in climate will have fundamentally altered the composition of species habitats. Following a series of mild winters in Canada from the 1960s onwards, growing numbers of pine beetles recently caused severe damage to more than 13 million acres of forest.
What about the wildlife species?
Some wildlife species will be forced to move further north to more favorable habitats. Species in the southern areas will live in a smaller area due to increased parasites and competitions. While some animals will adapt, species that require a narrow range of temperature and precipitation conditions are more likely to decline or die out completely. Climate change may affect wildlife reproduction, relationships between predator and prey, survival, rates of disease in wildlife species, and the availability of food and habitat.
Thank you so much for speaking with me, Ms. Himes.
No problem, you can have me on your show anytime.
Now we're all more knowledgeable about climate change.